Hey guys, happy Thursday. I just wanted to record a video real quick to talk about a couple things relating to term insurance. I helped on a few cases this week, and I just kind of wanted to bring the conversation to the group so that everybody could benefit from it. When you have to stop and evaluate if term is what the client is best suited for and what they can actually have. Not everybody can have term insurance. I had to tell somebody that this week. It was the first time I personally had to tell somebody that because I will try to underwrite anything. So it's just a fact. Term insurance is purchased on your health. Your health determines the price of it, but it also determines if you can actually have it. I can't have term insurance. I'm glad I bought a bunch beforehand, but I can't have any more. It's a medically underwritten product based on you. There are things that can prevent you from buying term insurance. These are just some general ones for like younger people and just overall. It's not everything, but I think it's a pretty broad list. The first is mental health. Mental health is just usually comes about when you ask them their medications. And they tell you they take like Celexa, Zoloft, whatever it is. There's 9 million. Usually when people tell me a medication, I'll just pop it into Google and be like, oh, that's the generic for whatever. Google is super helpful for that. When they tell me they take a mental health drug, I start asking more questions specifically about that. And I just tell them openly that this is because not every product is for everyone. I want to write you in the right company for you so you get the best price and actually are able to purchase the insurance. So I just start with, how long have you taken that? Have you ever taken anything else for depression or whatever it was? They'll tell you. Before that medication. What is your formal diagnosis? For example, I helped someone this week that had trichomania, which is where you pull out your hair. So they took an anxiety and 2 depression medications, which triggers a major depressive on your medical information. But she wasn't actually depressed. She was taking it for impulse control, so I was able to note that in the file, and it was approved. A human had to look at it and review the file, and what I said agreed with what her record said. So it was approved. Have you taken any medications for similar issues, anxiety, depression, etc.? Have you seen a mental health provider? And if you have, how long have you been seeing them? And have you been hospitalized due to any mental disorders in the last 7 years? So a combination of like, have you taken anything else before this medication is a big one. They'll be like, yeah, I tried this and this and this and this. And you're like, well, you've taken like 10 mental health drugs in 10 years. You're not going to look stable to an insurance company. Have you ever been hospitalized due to mental health disorders or addiction? If they were in treatment 3 years ago, they can't have term insurance, more than likely, or they can have Sprout. So those are just some basic questions asked for mental health. The next one is diabetes. So did they have diabetes before they were 40? If they did, they cannot have term insurance, more than likely. It's a little iffy on Sprout. Like, maybe they'll get through, maybe they won't. And Foresters would have to be a fully underwritten product with a medical exam and all that good stuff to get it through. Foresters is the most diabetic friendly. So when they answer that question, what was your last A1C? They'll tell you it needs to be below 8 to get approved. If it's above 8, they'll need to go to graded or guaranteed issue. What medications do you take for diabetes? Some of these people take like 5 diabetes medications to stay controlled because they eat sugar. Those people can't have term insurance. Or people that take like 3 diabetes medications, usually it's Ozempic, that weight loss one. You might need to do a little further explaining, or they might not get it. It really depends. And then, have you taken any other diabetes medications in the last 7 years? That's just to show if their diabetes is considered controlled. If you're taking a different diabetes medication every year, it's not controlled. If it was working, they would leave you there. Uncontrolled diabetes leads to amputation, which pays out part of a policy. It also leads to organ failure and diabetic neuropathy, which increases your chances of death. Heart issues, just things like murmurs and stuff can show up weird on medical history when they look at it. So if you're having like a heart ultrasound every year or 2 years, they're going to be like, what's up with your heart? So those things just need to be disclosed and they'll just be considered. You don't put things like this on a simplified yes or no issue basis unless you're 100% sure that they'll accept the risk by doing a risk assessment. Cancer. If they had cancer in the last 10 years, they just can't have term insurance. So sorry. Asthma. This is a big one for P&C agents because you guys sell lots of term insurance. It's just kind of what you do. You get them when they're 25 coming to you for their first policy. Asthma is really hard for term insurance. And a lot of people don't have asthma, but they have a rescue inhaler when they get bronchitis once a year because they have a hard time breathing. And those people actually do have asthma in the eyes of insurance. So I always ask everyone, do you ever use an inhaler? Like, yeah, if it's on the application or not, I'm asking them. And if they're like, yeah, I got one in my gym bag, I'm like, okay, how long have you been using that inhaler? What medications have you taken in the last 7 years besides that particular inhaler? Because they'll use like Abreve or whatever, the disc ones once a day, steroidals. Do you take a daily steroidal inhaler? What kind do you take? What other kinds before that one? Do you use a rescue inhaler? How often do you fill the prescription for your rescue inhaler? Have you ever been hospitalized for asthma? When's the last time you took oral steroids? How long did you take them last time you took them? Do you use a CPAP machine? CPAP, like sleep apnea and asthma, is an absolute no. Like, just no. You cannot have term insurance. Asthma is generally super hard to underwrite, and it's actually easier just to pivot to whole life. And it's actually better for the client. It's not a good experience to underwrite a true asthmatic. Venues for challenges. Foresters is the most diabetic friendly. Mutual of Omaha is the most blood pressure, cholesterol friendly. Sprout is your shot for asthma or serious mental health. These are just for term options. Those are your shots for those. Beyond that, if they're declined, they need to go to whole life. So a lot of people that I know, they really want term insurance. I know they can have whole life, no problem. You can have this. But they really want term. I will tell them, I'm not sure if this will be approved. I will only try once to get you term because I am trying at the best company. This is the company, after doing my field underwriting, getting all information, this is the company of the best shot of getting approved at. We'll try it. And they'll get declined. It happens sometimes. So I will already have an answer when I call them back. I will have done my whole life research, done my risk assessments, found my for sure, yeah, you can have this. This is where I'm putting you all of that. We'll touch on risk assessments. I know I've talked about them a few times. So I'll just call back and be like, unfortunately, it was not approved. But what I can get you is $25,000 of whole life for X amount of dollars or whatever it is. And honestly, being told no, you can't have that seems to do something to people where they will take what you offer if you're telling them, but you can have this. So I do recommend trying to pivot. People that are hard to insure actually need life insurance the most. There's a reason they're hard to insure. And it's that they have a higher rate of mortality. The other thing that is really hard sometimes to insure people for is medications taken off label. Methotrexate's a really big one. That's a medication that's a chemotherapy drug, and it's used for rheumatoid arthritis and many other autoimmune conditions. So it's taken at a pretty high dose for rheumatoid arthritis and for cancer, and taken at a really low dose for other things. On paper, you have cancer. I took that drug. On paper, for insurance companies, I have cancer. I don't have cancer. It's just what it looks like on paper. So when you get medications, because you should be like, what do you take? What have you taken in the last 7 years? And if you don't know why they take it, when you're done with this, you need to say, okay, well, what do you take that for? And sometimes it's something crazy and you're going to need to explain that to the insurance company, or it might be a hard stop. I've talked about risk assessments a couple times. So what a risk assessment is you're getting all the information about your client, and you're calling the company, and you're calling sales support, hitting 1 or 2 or whatever for risk assessment, and you're going to talk to an underwriter. And that underwriter is going to take the information. Like, you'd be like, oh, it's a 65-year-old male from Tennessee that's 6'2", that weighs 220 pounds. He takes Jardiance, Ozempic, metformin, atorvastatin, carvedilol, and, whatever, amlodipine. And she would be like, oh, well, carvedilol is a hard stop, or you need to ask these follow-up questions. If they answer yes on this question in the application, it will be a decline. If they answered yes on this one, it will be a graded policy. So before I went into the policy and wrote the application, I already knew if he answered no to these questions, we were going to get through if it was accurate. I mean, if you lie, your information will disagree with you. But I knew my odds of approval by doing a full underwriting, calling and getting a risk assessment from the company to find out if they would take the risk, and just proceeding through and getting full and complete information. So term, again, is not for everyone. It is okay to pivot to whole life if you need to. I'm here for you if you need anything. I would love to assist you in underwriting if you have any issues. And I hope you guys close some business. Have a great day.